Well, hello. Welcome to This Week in Politics. Today, I have two things I'd like to discuss. First one is a follow-up to last week's program about Little Red Riding Hood, and we're going to do that secondly. First thing I want to talk about is the funerals of John McCain. Now, I am not going to have a love fest with John McCain. I can't think of a funeral that has been more of a show than anything I've seen in recent time. And he planned it all. When it's all said and done, he's going to have 3 different funerals. Now, before I get started, I want to say up front, I didn't like John McCain when he was alive. I thought he was a weasel. I believe that he was a traitor. I know for a fact that he was a liar. He was part of the establishment politicians. He was anything but a conservative. He may as well have been a liberal Democrat when you consider the way that he voted and the things that he did, but he talked like a conservative when he ran for election. He was a liar. Now, I want to talk about what a little man he was. In his life, just before he died, he planned all 3 of these funerals. And I want to emphasize how petty of a man he was. As an example, his running mate when he ran for the presidency in 2008, I believe, his running mate was Sarah Palin. And the only reason that race was even competitive was because Sarah Palin brought the conservatives along. And even with her, he couldn't win. But he did not invite her to his funeral. She was persona non grata. He purposely went out of his way to tell the President of the United States he was not invited to his funeral. And he did that because they had an ongoing feud, which, I mean, powerful people have feuds, I get it, but you're dead. And the President of the United States, you're going to tell him he can't come to your funeral? How arrogant are you? He had 3 different funeral ceremonies. One in Arizona, one in the where he's laying in state, which I can't believe. I don't know how he pulled that off. But he's laying in state. Only I heard the other day, only the 32nd person to lay in state, as I understand it. And then he's going to have one at the cemetery, which is odd in and of itself, because he's not going to be buried with his family or next to his wife. He's being buried next to his friend. Very odd. I'd like to know more about that story. And how did he get able to lay in state? I mean, he was a senator, for God's sakes. It's not like he was a president or, you know, a worldwide evangelist like Billy Graham. He was just a senator, and a lousy one at that. He was definitely a rhino, a Republican in name only, while he was alive. When Trump came into office and when John McCain was running for the Senate, he campaigned on repeal and replace Obamacare. Trump gave him the opportunity to do that, and in dramatic form, he was the last person to vote, which I'm sure was arranged, and he turned his thumbs down. He would not vote to repeal and replace Obamacare. We fell 1 vote short, by the way. The epitome of a liar. I have not been able to verify it, but I am told that he is was pardoned by Richard Nixon. Otherwise, he would have been court-martialed for treason. The things that he did that was treasonous is he made radio broadcasts, and this I do know. He made radio broadcasts that were anti-American when he was held in Vietnam as a prisoner of war. And somehow or other, he had destroyed a lot of planes on a battleship, and men were killed because of his action. Now, the big brouhaha that embroiled after he died was the flags being flown at half-staff. Protocol says that when a senator or a member of Congress dies, you fly the flag at half-staff the day they died and the day after, and then you raise them back. That's what Trump did. He did not know that it was customary then, on that second day, to issue a proclamation and have the flags flown at half-staff until the body is interned. I wouldn't have done that. I would have taken the heat, and here's why. John McCain had choreographed all of this. He died last Saturday. He's not going to be interned for over a week, going through all of these different ceremonies and rituals. And yesterday they had the one at the White House, and all of the politicians, mostly Democrats, by the way, got up and used the opportunity to bash Trump. It's a funeral, but yet they took the opportunity to bash Trump. Once Trump learned that that was customary, he did just that. He issued a proclamation and ordered flags flown at half-staff until he's put in the ground. But there was a big brouhaha saying that Trump was being petty and he was continuing the fight between them and being disrespectful, all the while glorifying John McCain and glossing over the fact that he did not invite Sarah Palin, his running mate, or Donald Trump. He was the one that was being petty. Even from the grave, he was being petty, but the press manages to gloss that over. If you look at the list of people who spoke at his funeral, they were either Democrats or establishment Republicans. You didn't see any Tea Party. You didn't see any conservatives. There's a reason for that. He may as well have been a Democrat. And you know who the big Democrat was that spoke? Joe Biden, vice president under Hussein. The press liked to call him a maverick. He was no maverick. He was a liar. They used the term maverick because he would vote against the establishment Republican, or against the Republicans, conservatives, and against his own party, and they called that being a maverick. No, that's being a liar. If you're elected as a Republican and you do, and they want you to be a Republican, and then you vote Democratic, you're a liar. But they call him a maverick. Well, that's my eulogy to John McCain. He was a fake, a phony, a traitor, a liar, a manipulator, a small little petty man, and he died a painful, crucial death, and I'm sad about that. But he was a hurtful person. He was a manipulator. He was anything except what he claimed to be. He claimed to be a conservative Republican politician. He was none of that. He wasn't a politician. He was a liar and a manipulator. He was a club joiner. He is the one that made sure that the dossier got into the hands of Obama. He was the one that made the P file public so that they could get Donald Trump and get Mueller and get all of that. He was the one that was responsible for that. He was a weasel. He was a liar, a cheat, and a manipulator. I am not sorry that he's gone. I'm not sorry that he's out of the Senate. I feel bad for his family. But my guess is that the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, and we probably have not heard the last of that family. I am sad for their loss and for their pain, but as far as McCain being gone, I am not the least bit sorry, and I'm not going to pretend like I am. Okay, now that that happy news is out of the way, let's talk about the Little Red Riding Hood experiment from last week. If you remember last week's program, I had listed the description as Little Red Riding Hood. We will take a look at the children's book. The reason that I did that was because Facebook the week before would not accept my booze because I was not authorized to have a show dealing with political content. And I am still enraged by the fact, who do they think they are telling me I have to register to talk about politics? Do the people that put pornography on, do they have to register? Does every account have to register? What about CNN? Did they have to register? I don't think so. But somehow, because the name on my account is This Week in Politics, I have to register. And the information they wanted me to give them to register was my mailing address, a picture ID number, and the last four numbers of my Social Security card. And I was thinking about this after I did last week's program. With my picture ID, they would get a number. And with that number, they could cross-reference with other databases. They could find out anything they wanted about me. They could find if I had a police record, where I worked, how long I'd been there, what my address is, what kind of car I drive. They could have found all of that out just from my driver's license number. That is unconscionable. And as I said last week, these are the same people that when it comes time to vote, they are against voter ID cards. There's something terribly wrong with that. So I refuse to register. I'm not doing it. I'm going to use code for us that are out here. Now, if you look closely at today's description, you will see that I put an exclamation point at the beginning of the description of this program. That exclamation point will be my code that I use when what's in the content of the program is not what is being described. So if you're looking at my stuff and you see an exclamation point and then a description like this week that says, we continue to look at Little Red Riding Hood, you can know we are not talking about Little Red Riding Hood. We're going to talk about politics or something. But the exclamation point is code to let everybody who watches my stuff, this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about something else, but I can't list it because they won't place it. So the experiment worked. They did accept the boost, and they are going by the description and the title of the program. They are not going by program content. So what I write on the outside is what they're going by, not by the content. And the content is what I care about. So what I write on the outside really doesn't matter. In fact, I had more people watch this week when I talked about supposedly Little Red Riding Hood than I did in past when I actually listed what we were talking about. So the experiment was a success. And we'll work on the code as we go. I mean, but right now I just want to establish that we need a code and that we're going to use one, and this is the beginning. Now, another thing that I've done after the last program, and I think I told you this in the last week's program, I believe that after the midterm election, social media is going to go full bore at shutting down websites like mine. So between now and the 2020 election, I'm going to do all I can to promote my website, not my social website, but my website. And my website is called prayerboxministry.org. So what I did is I've gone to a sign maker here in town. I've designed a sign that I want to have, and I'm going to put it somewhere behind me where, and I don't really know where, but I went and bought an easel so I could either place it somewhere or I could put it on the wall, hang it on the wall. But so that the whole time that I am videoing, you can see my website address and the things that you can do at the website. So I'm going to promote the website. I've got a sign being made, and I've also decided I'm going to do little commercials, a couple of a minute or two or three per commercial, and I'm going to play those and run them on, share them each day on my Facebook feed so that everybody over time will see a different commercial telling them to go to my website and telling them the reason why. So the things that I'm going to do to bypass social media is the code for the programs. As long as they allow these programs on there without checking content, we'll use a code. I got a sign being made so that my website address will be visible to anybody that watches the videos the whole time the video is running. I'm going to make little video commercials, and I'm going to verbally say over and over, please go to our website and check out our website. Now, when you go there, you will find that it is not a complete website. It's going to be a constant in progress because we do 3 or 4 programs a week, audio and video, plus 2 blogs, and a prayer club and the Bible and all of those. There's a lot over there to do, but it's all going to be in a state of flux. But I'd like for you to go over there and introduce yourself to the website, nose around over there, see what you like, and join us there. That way, when they do shut us down on Facebook and the other websites, when they finally do shut us down, everybody will be able to go to our website and continue to see the programs. Now, I want to explain why Facebook is doing this. They will tell you it's to control fake news. That's a lie. Here's the only proof that they've given us, and this is strictly a digital truth on their part. I don't know that this is true. This is what they say. They found X amount of, I think it was 11. It was less than 20. I don't remember the number. It was less than 20 Facebook pages that were designed supposedly by the Russians, and each one of them had a video ad that ran during the election. Now, that may or may not be true, but even by their own admission, here's what happened. Each of those sites had one ad. Okay? Altogether, all the ads that they found totaled $11,000. I spend that in a year. These sites spent that over 15 months. I mean, think about that, $11,000 over 15 months. That is less than $1,000 a month. You mean to tell me that Russia was trying to influence our election with $11,000, and they're using that as a justification to censor all the social websites? You know, what they didn't tell you is that the Chinese did it, I'm sure, the Japanese, the Egyptians, the Saudi Arabians. I'm sure that if we had free access to all of Facebook's files, we could find all kinds of countries did it. And they probably spent a total of $1,000 a piece. Nothing. That's nothing. That is no influence at all. And yet, they're using that as justification to go after what they call fake news. Now, if you're an ultra left-wing liberal, what do you consider fake news or hate speech? Anything that's spoken by a conservative. Anytime anybody talks negatively about abortion or Antifa or homosexual marriage or conservative government or negatively about the Clintons or the Obamas, that's instantly hate speech. You are instantly marked. And because you talk about those things, the first thing they want you to do is to register. And I said this last week. When they asked me to register my account, you know what I felt like? I felt like a Jew in Nazi Germany in the 30s. Because if you read your history, you will find that before Hitler started exterminating the Jews, he identified the Jews by making them register in the cities that they lived in. And it wasn't just registering. After they registered, they were required to wear a Jewish star on the outside of their clothing so that everybody knew they were Jews. That's what it feels like. They're asking us to register. Oh, I don't know if they've asked anybody else, but they asked me to register my account and ask for very private information. Now, why did they want me to register? So I would stick out, so that everybody that was doing digital stuff at Facebook, my account would be singled out. They would see the yellow star, so to speak, and they would know that I was a political content, so that everything I did would be scrutinized. I'm not registering. I don't know who they think they are, thinking I have to register. I do think that InfoWars needs to take these social sites to court. I don't think that's legal. In spite of what the liberal press is telling me, I don't think that's legal. They say they're a private company. No, they're a publicly held company. Now, Zuckerberg may be in charge, but Facebook and Google and Twitter are all public companies. It reminds me of the saying, and I don't remember who said it, but they were talking about the Nazis, and they said when they came for, and I don't remember exactly, but when they came for the labor unions, I wasn't in the labor unions, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the Christians, and I wasn't a Christian, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the machinists, and I wasn't a machinist, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for me, and there was nobody left to stick up for me. That's what it feels like. You know, I am a right-wing conservative, and they're going to come for me. And if people don't stand up and start saying something, then they're going to start coming for the mainline Republicans. And when they do that, there's not going to be any, because the liberals aren't going to protect you. The liberals are all for getting us off of the websites. So we as conservatives, first off, each one of us needs to do the things I talked about earlier. Secondly, we need to prepare to leave the social websites. Oh, and another thing that I did is I found a website called MeWe, M-E-W-E, and their big selling point is freedom of speech. There's no filters over there. Conservatives can go over there and feel confident that they're not going to be messed with. But we need to prepare to leave the social websites. So my advice to us as a group is to use coded language in our description so each of us know what's going on, and leave the liberals out of it so they don't know. do not register. Do not put an X on your back or a Star of David on your uniform. Don't do that. What you're doing is you're setting yourself apart and going to become the first target. Now, I have been talking about the social media wanting to get rid of conservatives now since the election of 2016, because that was right after the election when everybody thought before the election, everybody assumed Hillary was going to win. So the liberal, including Zuckerberg, when they would ask him about monitoring content on the website, he said, that's not our purpose. It's not up to us to regulate free speech. As soon as Hillary lost, now all of a sudden he changed his tune and he did an interview saying he was considering running for president. I believe that to be true. I don't think he stands a snowball's chance in hell, but everything that he's been doing since the election says he is. And I thought that the goal was to have the current conservatives shut down by 2020. It appears they're going halfway for the midterm elections. As an example, they got rid of InfoWars, who had 2.5 million followers. And I know, and I went through a list last week of all of the accounts that have been shadow banned, and I'm one of them. And I'm just a nobody. But there was Phil Valentine. Uh, I don't remember the list, but there was quite a few that had been shadow banned and knew it. And I have been, I know, for a year at least. When I started talking about it after the last election, the government started interviewing or grilling social media, and Zuckerberg was the one that would be the point man and go up before these committees. Now, don't be misled by what's going on here. The people in the government that were doing the interviewing are either liberals or establishment Republicans. They all want social media shut down to conservatives because conservatives are gaining vastly. The Tea Party and the conservatives, Trump is a conservative. They are trying to shut us up permanently. Now, we are already shut out of movies, TV, newspapers, magazines, periodicals, most radio. We do have a couple of programs on AM radio. And we have social media, but they're shutting us down quickly so that all that's going to be really available to everybody is going to be liberal. And that's what they want, and that's what we have to fight against. Now, some of the other observations that I have made since I have been paying attention. I said last week that there were different stages that I have noticed. Now, if I get on my computer and I go to Facebook, the account comes up instantly. If I want to go to what is the name of it? Google. No, I can't think of the video place. If I want it, comes up instantly. But if I want to go to a conservative website, and if you don't believe me, try it. Go to Herman Cain. He is a conservative Republican. Go to his website. Here's what I experience. The blue circle of death. It takes forever to connect. If I go to my account on Right Wing Reverend, it takes forever to get onto my account. But if I go to my personal account, it comes right up. So one of the things that I believe all social media is doing is making it harder and longer to connect to the conservative websites. And here's why. If you go to a website and you try to get on there and you see the blue circle of death, you get bored pretty quick and move on. That's what they're betting. That's just another way of limiting the traffic to the conservative websites. Very sneaky, but I have noticed, and that is happening, and it's on a regular basis. It's not just a one-time thing. And I tested it because a lot of times your computer will do that if you don't have the right bandwidth or whatever it's called. But no, I use the same computer that I've used for the last year. And it just that blue circle of death just recently started, like probably the same week that they were asking me to register. But I tested it. I went to liberal sites and then I'd go to conservative, and it was consistent. The liberal ones I got right in. The conservative ones, it took me forever, and I would get bored with waiting and move on. Another observation I made is the shadow banning is now worse than it was before. Beginning when they asked me to register, I believe hardly nobody is seeing my stuff. They are closing accounts. They have closed. I talked last week about a singer that wrote a really nice song called "I Love Your President" and had it on websites and was boosting it to the tune of $400, and they just shut his accounts off, completely shut him down. No account, and kept his money. InfoWars, 2.5 million followers. They didn't give two shits about shutting that down and the 2.5 million followers being totally cut off. They didn't care. They just eliminated his account, and they used some bogus excuse about he's a conspiracy theorist and he's a this and let me ask you something. For those of you that remember before social media and the computers, when we had cable and news, was there fake news then? Yes. And how did we decide what to do with that? We all have a brain, and we decided for ourselves whether it was news or it was opinion or it was garbage. What's changed? Do you need Zuckerberg telling you what's fake news? I don't. I don't need anybody having any control whatsoever over the input that I put on social media. I don't need anybody to do that for me, to me, or about me. If you don't like the stuff that I put on there, if you think it's fake news, don't watch. I don't care. But what I do care about is a handful of people deciding what the rest of the world gets to listen to or watch because it offends them. Hey, if I'm not offending people, I'm not doing my job. And not just on social media, but as a Christian. If I'm not upsetting people with God's word, then I'm not doing my job. But if they have their way, they're going to decide what you get to see, what you get to hear, because you are not smart enough, in their opinion, to decide what is fake news. You're just not smart enough. That's what they're telling you. That's what they're telling the whole world. We're smart, you're stupid. We know fake news, you don't, because you're stupid. So we're going to decide what you get to watch. That's exactly what they're doing. We can't allow that. And if we do, we deserve whatever we get. Another observation that I have made, and I think this goes without saying, but for all the information that I can find and all of the accounts that I have heard about, there has not been one liberal website affected. Not one liberal website has been shadow banned. Not one liberal website has been shut down. Not one liberal website has been affected at all. And every account has been a conservative website. Every single one. I didn't pick those out. Those are the ones that we know of that has had things happen to them. And every single one of them are conservatives. That's not a coincidence. That's the yellow star. They are purposely seeking us out, calling us out, and shutting us down on purpose, systematically, over time. Now, I'm going to make a couple of predictions here. They have been doing little things all along, and they continue to do those, to drip, 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 a constant. So we're going to accept the premise that you're stupid and they're not. Social media needs to be monitored. It does not. Do not accept the premise that social media needs to be monitored and controlled and influenced. It does not. Nobody should have any say so at all on any content that you or I put on the internet. If people don't like it, let them not watch it. But everybody should be given the opportunity to A, say what they want to say, and B, watch what they want to watch. We should not have Big Brother telling us what we can say and what we can't, making it hard for us to say what we want to say, and making it harder for people who want to watch what we do. And that's what's happening. Now, they did a big one with InfoWars, 2.5 million followers, and I think they're going to wait to do another big one, but they will do another big one before the midterms, I'm pretty sure. But between now and then, it's going to be drip, 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 the constant barrage. After the midterms, I believe they will go full bore, and they will really go out starting to eliminate accounts. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen, and it won't be just Facebook. It'll be all three, the big three, plus some of the other ones. That's why we need to prepare now. We need to concentrate our efforts now so that we have places where we can go and see the content we want to see. So if you like watching the stuff that I do and they start shadow banning me or shut my account down, you'll know to go to my website and you'll still be able to see my stuff. Now, I'm going to have to make some internal changes so that I can be more consistent, but I'm a nobody, and I do three or four programs a week. Trying to get all of that material uploaded is going to be a full-time job, and I don't have the wherewithal to do that. But I'm going to try to make changes so that those programs will be there as quickly as possible, so that if you like watching my stuff, you will go to my website, because they will shut me down. I just don't know when. They have already effectively shut my account down. The only reason I think they didn't do anything last week is because I used that innocuous Little Red Riding Hood. And if you looked in the thing today, I said little follow up to Little Red Riding Hood and social media. Now they may take a look at it because I mentioned social media. I didn't say what I was going to say about them, but I did use the code, the exclamation mark at the beginning. I didn't put it at the end because that could be misconstrued as just a form of speech. I put it at the beginning so that would be the code for people who want to know what we're not going to talk about is what I list in the thing. We're going to talk about something different. And that's going to be the beginning code so that you'll know. Because as this gradually increases in after the midterms, in my opinion, when they start really going after us, I will continue to use innocuous, non-committal type of descriptions in the programs, and I'm going to use that code at the beginning so that if you like watching my stuff, you'll know that what is listed is not what we're talking about. So that's what I wanted to talk about. We did talk about John McCain. I didn't mention that in the thing because, again, that's a political thing. And according to Facebook, I am not authorized to discuss political content. Boy, what a pile of garbage. And an update on the Facebook or social media. Do watch for the videos that I'm going to start doing. I think I'll record one this week and run it every day for a week and see what happens. I am currently advertising on Facebook for people to go to my website. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on it. And we'll see what happens. So go to my website's name is prayerboxministry.org, all one word, prayerboxministry.org. And there's a lot to do over there. That website was designed to be an interactive website. You can join a prayer group. You can have somebody read the Bible to you chapter by chapter. All of our programs are over there. The Right Wing Reverend programs are over there. We have a newsletter. There's just a lot of stuff over there to do. Go over there and check it out, prayerboxministry.org. And also, we are currently on iTunes. So if you use iTunes, go to iTunes, go to podcasts, and then prayer or Right Wing Reverend, and listen to our stuff over there. So what we're trying to do is get away from social media and get to websites so we can go to all of the conservative websites. They can't control those yet, but they can control the social sites. So we as a group need to collectively and gracefully prepare to get out of social media because they're going to kick us out. But we don't want to lose our say so. So we'll use our websites to do that. Well, thank you for listening. And hopefully I'll be around next week. They won't shadow ban me or eliminated my account, hopefully. And we'll keep you updated. I look forward to next week when we can sit down and talk about this week in politics. You be blessed.